Hello, this is a wonderful day to review verb conjugations in Spanish, and we're just going over the present tense. First of all, I want you to notice that my charts here are color-coded. This is to help you to conjugate just in case you had trouble in Spanish 1. So, first of all, you should know all of the subject pronouns. You should already know the verb ending charts. And if you do not, time to memorize. Say them out loud, write them down. The charts down here, please note, from AR to ER, the only thing that changes is every time there was an A in the AR chart, it changes to an E in the ER chart. In the IR chart is exactly the same as the ER chart, except these two, the nosotros and vosotros forms change. So let's go over and let's practice with the verb hablar, which means to speak or talk. So if I wanted to say, sorry, that's a little fuzzy because that paper's not staying still. If we wanted to say, for example, I speak, then I is in the yellow here, so I could have the yo. Then I go, hablar ends in AR, so I go to the AR chart. The yellow form there is O, so I take off the AR, think of the top, minus AR, take away the AR, and we are left with HABL, then I add the O. Let's say instead, I wanted to say ustedes. So if I have ustedes, ustedes is in the purple part, so we go to the purple part of the chart, taking off the AR, again, minus AR at the top, and I add AN. Let's say instead we would like to look at an ER verb. So if we look at the ER verb, let's take comer, to eat, and we've got a negative ER at the top of the chart, so we're going to take that away. If I wanted to say you familiar, eat, you familiar is going to be to with an accent mark. To without an accent mark means your, as in possessive. So we take the to, we take off the ER, and we add what's in the red box here, because we ran the red here. So we have comes ending in ES. Let's take an IR verb. So let's look at the verb vivir. Again, minus IR, take away the IR, and let's say this one we want to do nosotros. N-O-S-O-T-R-O-S, and if you have trouble spelling that, N-O-S-O-T-R-O-S. Blue box. Vivir is an IR verb, so we go to the IR chart. And blue will be imos, so we take that and we have vivimos with the I-M-O-S. If you have my handouts, first of all, the first page, you have Spanish review charts from all of the ones I consider important in Spanish 1 that you could have on one page. You are only using the top part of this chart that I have given to you, Lord willing, printed in color. And then you are going to need to go over the verbs that are on the next page. So I have basic vocabulary verbs from Spanish 1. We are using 1 through 22 in the left-hand column, and you are going to do exercise A. To make this easier, just in case, heaven forbid, you got all confused in Spanish 1, then I've got these in order until you can get the verbs memorized. So, we have to read is first, exercise A, number 1 is to read. You have leer. Sorry, things are getting in my way. Okay, so to read would be leer. I would, if I were you, write leer underneath to read. We then go to Marta. We look back at the chart. Where would Marta go in the chart? You don't even have to know that's a person. Marta is singular, so you stay on the left-hand side of the chart. Everything on the left is singular. Everything on the right is plural. Marta is not I. It's not you familiar. She. Okay, so she, or you could consider it if you're thinking of the transit in Atlanta. So we are in green. Layered is an ER verb. Because it's an ER verb, we go to this chart. We're in green here, green here. So under Marta, it would be lei. Then, you, familiar, and I. You, familiar, and I go to the zoo. Who goes to the zoo? More than one person. So we are on the right-hand side of the chart. If you and I go, that is the same as we go. So we are in blue. We're in the ER chart. Blue here is EMOS. You keep that first E, take off the ER, leemos. Then we go to you familiar. With you familiar, we go back to the chart. You familiar is in which box? We're in red. We go to the ER ending. Red is ES, and you would have two. Don't forget to leave that first E on there because you only take off the second one. Two leis. And that is what I want you to do for exercise A, 1 through 11. If you go to the next page, you have Spanish to English. Where you have Spanish to English, you're going to use those charts backwards. So number 1, you had leemos. We go back to the charts. First of all, we know that leer means to read, and I've got that in the same order as your vocab. You have amos, which is in the blue, meaning that is we. So what you would have for number 1 is you would write down we read. To find the subject, always look at the end of the verb. So if I were you, I would underline the ends of the verb first so that I can go through and match. If you have questions, please email me or comment on Canvas. Thank you, and I'm hoping this is easy. If it's not, don't feel bad. Just keep working with it. Thank you very much.